everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat. It's Sunday, September 26th, 2021, and I think that Phyllis doesn't have time to help Nick, assistant coach Christian's football team, because she'll be too busy leading Jack on. She needs to devote all of her time from here on out to leading him on. Ooh. Look, fack, I'll be fine either way, but did Phyllis really have to tell Jack that she loves him in return while she's in a relationship with Nick? Seriously? Her solution to clearing the air about Jack's love confession was to tell Jack that she loves him too? And when he tries to backpedal on it a little bit and categorize it as, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not the same kind of love as mine, she stops him and she says, oh, yes, it is. You're in my heart. Just keep that knowledge with you. Just keep that knowledge with you. What? Phyllis? I'm glad to know that's true. And I get what she was trying to do. She did not want Jack to feel rejected just because she chooses Nick. But what is Jack supposed to do with that info now? Just keep that knowledge with you. Oh, great. Thanks. Now, Jack just gets to be thinking about how he secretly loves you and you secretly love him every time you guys see each other from here on out. That's even worse than unrequited love because it gives Jack a seed of hope in the back of his mind. And you know Jack, he is just going to keep watering that seed and watering that seed and watering that seed. Thursday's dream episode was the longest episode of Y&R ever. I kept checking the clock thinking, is this still going on? It felt like 2 hours long. Not that it wasn't good, and not that it wasn't meaningful in all the right places. And Peter Bergman is amazing. He deserves to be in the spotlight. He's an incredible actor. All of the material was well performed. But it was just so much self-reflection, so much talk and peeling apart of a single topic. I was like, is this therapy? I felt like I should be charging for this. Not gonna lie, I needed to move on to something else. It was just too much emotions, even for me. Oh. Also, usually the very special episodes happen when someone has done something wrong. Then they get the Ebenezer Scrooge treatment. But Jack had done nothing wrong at that point. Not intentionally anyway, but he got paranoid that he had destroyed Nick and Phyllis's relationship with his love confession, and so Nick and Nikki and Victor and even Sally all jumped onto Jack like he was a criminal, like he had done something really bad, like running someone over with a car. No, wait, that's just Phyllis. She has her own fan club. I did enjoy Tracy, though, of course, the saving grace of the day. Anytime I get to see Tracy, it's like white magic. She just understands Jack, and she gave him the leeway to feel his feelings. Jack had some feelings that needed to be feeled. Oh, and Dina. Let us not forget Dina. I mean, that sounded an awful lot like Marla Adams in the voiceover. I'm convinced that it was her. I think it was very nice of her to do a little voice work for Y&R so that Jack could have a beyond the grave message moment realization from her the way he used to with John back in the old days after John died. But yeah, I don't know. My biggest thing about that whole episode is I just don't know what it all means. I don't know where to place it. I don't understand where it's all going. I don't understand what this all means for Jack. Is this meant to symbolize the ending of his eternal burning love for Phyllis? Or is this just the beginning of the triangle again? Here's the other thing. At the end of the episode, Jack called Nick for a late night meeting at the coffee house just so that he could then confess to him what had happened between he and Phyllis. That he'd given Phyllis this drunken love confession. He felt the need to tell this to Nick. Now, don't kill me, you guys, because I feel like this is going to be an unpopular opinion. This is just my perspective. But I found Jack's action of calling Nick and confessing to Nick to be really immature. I think it's so wrong to go dumping your emotions onto someone else like that. I would never do that to somebody. The whole, I've got to get this off my chest thing just spreads the problem around. Jack's got a problem. He loves Phyllis. She's in a relationship with Nick. Talk to Tracy or another neutral friend or a therapist. Don't talk to Nick. Don't talk to the affected person. What's Nick supposed to do with that information now? I just think that unburdening yourself like that onto somebody can be really selfish. And Jack spent the whole entire episode apologizing for coming between Nick and Phyllis, and then he turns around and goes to Nick without Phyllis's knowledge to tell him something that she kept from him. That undermines Nick and Phyllis's relationship, whether Jack meant it that way or not. Like, by the end of the episode, Jack did the thing that he spent the entire episode saying that he didn't want to do. What? What? Nick went right back to the hotel room and asked Phyllis about it all, and Nick tried to act all cool, and Phyllis tried to sex it away. She told him to just stop thinking about it. I know how to get you to stop thinking. And then she's all kissing all up on him. Yeah, you got that in one, Phyllis. The surefire way to get Nick to stop thinking. It's easier than you think. But Nick is not a complete idiot. Now Nick knows that Phyllis is willing to keep secrets from him, and it doesn't matter how secure Nick says he feels in their relationship. That same seed has now been planted in Nick too, and it's now been watered too. So I just feel like Jack unburdening himself on Nick may have made Jack feel a whole lot better, but all he really did was spread that problem around. Nick tried to pick it up. He tried to find a way that he and Phyllis could get in some extra bonding time, Nick asked Phyllis to be the assistant coach of Christian's football team. I think that is so Nick. Everything about Nick's approach to Phyllis, trying to sell her on this idea of team building and also relationship building, Nick was the most Nick he possibly could have been in those scenes. He literally could not have been more Nick. He was the most Nick he's ever been. It was pretty adorable. I don't know why she turned him down. Maybe it was the 4-inch heels she was in. I feel like maybe her heart was saying yes, but her feet were saying, girl, we cannot. Oh. Or maybe it was the fact that his feet were on their bed with his shoes on. Ew! This is the second time that I have seen Nick do that in recent history. He just hops right onto the bed with his shoes on and then just gets his grungy outside shoes all over the bed. I wanted to kill him. That right there, that's the reason that Nick and I will never work. Nick puts his shoes on the bed. Nate puts a coaster under his glass. My choice is clear. So instead of jumping in on the family sports fun with Nick and Christian, Phyllis offered instead to help Nick investigate Ashland Locke. Oh, goody. Another person investigating Ashland Locke. Could any of these people actually get somewhere with it? Phyllis and Nick started theorizing that maybe Ashland Locke just stole the name Ashland Locke from someone who was deceased and then quickly and quietly slipped into his life. Phyllis was able to find 3 potential candidates for who the OG Ashland Locke might have been, and now Nick is jet-setting off to New Jersey to interview the 3 dead guys and find out what they know. Oh, in the previews for next week, Victoria is finding out that Nick has gone on a trip with the private jet, and Victoria comes barreling into the Grand Phoenix to question Phyllis about the whole thing, which is kind of a shame because Phyllis and Victoria had some pretty good exchanges this week. You might almost even call them friendly. Almost, but I can't help but think that the very last exchange they had, the one where Phyllis went to Victoria's office at Newman Enterprises on Friday, I feel like it was more of a pity assessment. Like Phyllis was just wanting to see exactly how destroyed Victoria is going to be when she finds out that her fiancé is hiding even more stuff from her. But on the plus side, I have really enjoyed everyone's reactions to Victoria's new portrait on the wall. They've stepped into the office one by one and had their reactions, and the best one, of course, was Victor. What a surprise! He's happy about it. Victor accepts Ashland. He accepts Victoria as the successor to his throne. And he thinks the portrait was a great idea. Even recognized the artist who did the painting. You know, I got to thinking, Victor really should have been the one to commission the portrait for Victoria. Wouldn't that have been wonderful? That would have been a great symbol of the changing of the guard at his company at Newman Enterprises. I think that would have been a great symbol of his faith in her. Like if he would have had that portrait commissioned and put up onto the wall for her. Oh, what a gesture that would have been. Considering how iconic it is, it's actually pretty amazing that Y&R was able to quietly pull Victor's portrait off the wall of that office without a fan rage. I don't even know how they did that. How did they pull that off? And then now to put Victoria's portrait in its place, it's a big deal, to me anyway. Maybe we needed someone who was a third party, like Ashland Locke, to make that happen so it wouldn't quite look like it was so vain on Victoria's part. But I think my idea of having Victor give her the portrait would have been better. Do we even know the story of Victor's portrait? I feel like I knew it and forgot it. Did someone have it made for him? Was it an ex-wife? Something? Was it always in his office set, or was there a story around how he got it? I can't remember. It's just always been there for as long as I've been watching, and now I realize it's just shuffled off. It's just sitting in the prop room somewhere, right? Victoria's taken his place. There it is, Victoria's portrait this week on the wall in all its glory, waiting to be crushed and shredded to pieces when she finds out that Ashland has lied to her. Seems like a likely trajectory. But still, I really do think that Ashland loves her, and I don't think that he's working some long-term plan to deceive her. Whatever his indiscretion was, I think it was something in the past, and now that past is coming back to haunt him with a price tag of $3 million. Wow, that blackmailer. He is a real piece of work. He's basically comes to Ashland and says, hey, I hear you're dying soon, so I want more money from you. I'm going to need an advanced payment for the next 10 years since you won't be around to pay my $300,000 a year salary. I don't know about you guys, but I would be completely satisfied having had a $300,000 a year salary for all that time, for which I had to do no real work. All I have to do is keep my mouth shut, and I get $300,000 a year. No problem. I'll take that and never say another word. I don't need anything more, but I'm a simple gal. Well, the walls are closing in on Ashland's secret identity. I mean, it's almost October. Billy sees that conversation taking place at Society through the stained glass windows, and he decides that he must soldier forward with 44% of the Y&R chatters backing him up, saying, go get him, Billy. Go uncover that information about Ashland Locke. Bring us some answers. And I do think that Billy made some really good points to Nick, especially this week, about his motives in it all. I mean, Billy knows a thing or two about hazy financial decisions and actions. And Billy actually did bring up how his gambling debts got Victoria kidnapped. And so I thought it was very self-aware of Billy. I think whatever Ashland did to change his identity or anything he's done, I just don't think he's out to harm Victoria any more than Billy was out to harm Victoria. But that doesn't mean it won't happen anyway. So Billy just so happens to be dining at Society with Lily when he sees the Ashland Locke mystery associate dining there too. And after telling Lily about it, Lily jumped into action, and she did this really slickety-slick move where she goes over, pretends to talk to the waitress, and then looks down at his credit card receipt and brings us back his name. His name is Jesse Gaines. Jesse James? No, Jesse Gaines Jr., in fact, a lawyer from New Jersey, says Google. Or maybe Y&R has a version of Google that they call Yugle. The Google of Genoa City is Yugle. But that was all Billy needed. He had enough to work with right there. So the next time Billy sees this guy at the Grand Phoenix, he pretends to have known the guy's father and was able to squeeze a few details about him, including the fact that this Jesse Gaines's father would have handled some business for Ashland Locke around the sale of those TV stations. And before Jesse caught on to what Billy was doing, Ashland walked in. And Ashland has been trying really hard to hustle up that $3 million request, but he can only get his hands on like a measly $500,000 or $500,000 at a time. And he's having all these conversations, which Victoria has already overheard. But he can't get the money. He can't just materialize $3 million. So Ashland tells Jesse that he'd like to arrange a payment plan with him like it was an infomercial. Your secret could be saved for only 5 low payments of $500,000 a month. Okay, sold. Operators are standing by. Well, Jesse did not like that. Jesse told Ashland that if he doesn't come up with the cash in 3 days, then he's going to spill the secret to Billy and then just get a payout from Billy so he gets paid other way. And Billy's willing to participate. Billy's willing to do it. Billy thinks he's on his way to a meeting with Juicy Jesse right this very moment. But who should show up at the Blackmailer's door first? That's right, kids. It's Victor Newman time. I have to say, I was so happy to see that twist. Victor Newman still thrills me with the opening of a door and a single look. Eric Braeden has still got it. That was a really good Friday cliffhanger. I don't know what it means. I don't know where it leads, but it was a great Victor moment, and that's all I needed. And I will say, Victor told Victoria that he had a surprise for her, which she took to mean as a wedding gift, but now seeing him standing there, I'm wondering if he was low-key meaning that he was handling this business with Jesse, like so that nothing is going to interfere with her happiness on her wedding day. So it all comes down to Billy versus Victor. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? On Friday, Billy mumbled to himself, "So much for the big Italian wedding." Which, I don't know. I don't know what that means. We're going to get an Italian wedding either way, because we know Summer and Kyle are getting married in Italy, too. Maybe Y&R is going to pull the rug out from underneath Victoria and Ashland's Italian wedding and then just give us Kyle and Summer's wedding as a bone. Oh, I don't know. Victor, though, on the same hand, he assured Billy on Friday that if Billy did anything to cause one moment of unhappiness on Victoria's wedding day, that he would crush him. And so that's still a possibility, too. I think it could go either way. I think it's time to place our bets, Chatters. I think it's time for us to have a poll that says, will Victoria and Ashland say I do? Do you think that they are actually going to make it down the aisle, or is this big Italian wedding just never gonna happen? Go to yrchat.com, get in your vote before it all goes down. In other Newman news, Connor has a new girlfriend. It's Sally. Yes, Connor is smitten with Sally. I can see it now. A future love triangle emerges. Chelsea will have a blessing to give. Even Chelsea has lightened up on Sally after Sally saved Connor from that pack of wild dogs in the park last week. Yes. Sharon, though, Sharon has not changed her mind. Sharon is not a fan of salad. Salad. That's Sally plus Adam. Salad. Salad. I freaking love that. I gotta give big props to Lisa R., who brought that one to me. I'm gonna have so much fun with that. Sharon wants to eat salad for lunch. You better believe it. You better believe it. Sharon tells Ray that she heard that Sally targets wealthier men, and that is just the last thing that Adam needs right now. Like I'm watching Ray's face as Sharon is saying this, and I just imagine that Ray is nodding his head on the inside, and then he just lets his mind drift away to his fantasy football league on the inside. Hey, actually, that's a really great idea. That could be a solution that'll make everyone happy. Yeah, why doesn't Nick ask Ray to be the assistant coach on Christian's football team? Yeah! Go get Connor and Adam into the action too, and we'll have the setting for a brand new 6-week-long plot. Amanda consults Nate about Naya's condition, and I really liked Nate's line about how unexpected medical issues can be really upsetting, knowing that he was talking to Michelle Morgan, who seems to be recovering nicely from her emergency medical issue where she had the detached retina, so there was a little bit of play there. But yeah, consulting Nate. Had a feeling that was going to be the case. But Amanda also tells Devon that she and Imani are going into business together. So even though we really haven't seen Naya and Imani on screen very much lately, I think we're going to be seeing more of them both in the near future. There's a plan there. I can feel it. Amanda and Imani are going to be fighting side by side, or more interesting, I think it would be more interesting if they were fighting on opposite sides. I think it's going to be really entertaining. But fresh out of the Chancellor Mansion drama, Devon comes home, and maybe Devon is feeling a little lonely now, and he asks Amanda to move in with him, and she says yes. I love it. I'm very happy about it. I love the chemistry between those two, even if it's not going to be forever. Because that means now that Imani and Amanda are going to be kicking it at the penthouse, watching movies and eating fat-free popcorn. And you know Devon's going to get up in there too. And I'm asking myself, can Imani and Amanda be the sister friends that they say they want to be, truly be close, or will this inevitably turn into a rivalry between the two women with Devon right at the center? Abby agrees to give Mariah her space. Mariah leaves the Chancellor Mansion, and Mariah and Tessa get a room at the Grand Phoenix. Kinda was hoping to see that cute little studio apartment again, not gonna lie. The one with the harvest yellow refrigerator that I loved so much. I just thought that was a cute set. That whole apartment was very young gals struggling to make it big in a studio apartment. Like, it's Gloria's target market at JCV. Can't afford a whole outfit, but might be able to afford a piece of JCV jewelry. Oh, but I guess Mariah and Tessa aren't that anymore. Tessa's a huge star, and Mariah has that big Jabot job that she went to once. She reported for duty once. Hey, maybe Mariah should think about just throwing herself back into work. Isn't that the soap opera thing that you're supposed to do when bad things happen? I mean, how many times have we heard that line? I'm just gonna throw myself back into work. You know, like everyone does. Oh, but that's not going to be the case. No. Mariah has other ideas. She wants to have a baby with Tessa. Surely that will make things better. But shocking twist and surprise. I mean, not only does Mariah want to have a baby, but she wants Tessa to have the baby. Okay, but that's a pretty big ask. That's a pretty big ask of someone. I really felt for Tessa. I felt it was an awkward position for Tessa to be in. I know that Tessa loves Mariah, and I know that Tessa sees her own future with Mariah in it. I think Tessa wants to have a family with Mariah someday. She said all of that. And I also know that Tessa is walking on eggshells because she doesn't want to hurt Mariah. But Tessa already knows that Mariah is hurting, and Mariah is desperately seeking a way out of the pain. I think it's very natural to want a solution. I think it probably feels good to Mariah that she thinks she found some amazing solution to her problem that would solve all of the hurt in one fell swoop. Oh, if it were that easy. But healing takes time, and I think that's what Mariah needs. I mean, it's all about the timing. Tessa just got her career going. She's doing a lot of traveling right now. This is her time to pursue her dream. Tessa's dreams are finally coming true. And if she needed to stop the traveling and change her lifestyle, I don't think she'd be able to necessarily do both. So, I mean, having a baby would change everything. And if Tessa's not ready, she's not ready. But Mariah is, or at least Mariah thinks that she is. And I don't know, who am I to tell anybody when it is or is not time to have kids? But I'm just kind of thinking 3 days after getting kidnapped and giving birth, Mariah might be being a little impulsive here. Everyone has secrets they prefer stay buried. I thought that was going to be a slam dunk, but Doreen, Lynn, Daisy, Kathy, Henry, Sam, Tony, T. Nicole, and Y&R viewer 123 were the only ones who guessed that it was Ashland. Ashland was saying to Billy, everyone has secrets they prefer stay buried. He was defending his choice to not reveal his name. And I kind of liked that line because it's like, hey, man, yeah, I'm keeping secrets, but who doesn't have some secrets, right? Especially in this town. Well, how about this line? It's so true. Here it comes. Ready? Heartbreak. It's just a part of the human experience. I think that is just so right on. Heartbreak. It's just a part of the human experience. Who do you think said that? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com, and next week I will give you a shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. Next week I will also give comments on next week's Y&R Chats. Let's get to your comments, starting with Gary. So glad you mentioned this. Gary says, Allie has commented on the use of unnecessary flashbacks as filler on the hour of a new episode. Today, Thursday, we got a flashback from Wednesday, the day before, where Nick and Phyllis had to talk about the talk Jack and Phyllis had about Jack still being in love with her. It was a nice scene due to the thoughtful excellence of Nick, but it really wasn't necessary to see it again 24 hours later. And the long flashback almost encompassed the whole freaking original scene. What's up? Money savings! That's what's up. They are reusing their material so that they have to film less new material. Same thing happened, I think, on the following episode. Maybe it was on Friday's show. We re-saw Victoria opening up the portrait gift that Ashland had given her. We are definitely seeing more flashbacks. I clocked it a long time ago. I'm okay with it. I really am. We used to have a lot more flashbacks on the show, and they went away, but I'm totally okay with it if it's not from yesterday. Like the Nick and Phyllis one. I couldn't believe it. It was really long, too, as you mentioned. I don't want to see a flashback from yesterday. I don't need that. And I need it to be necessary. I need it to be relevant to the plot. I mean, the Victoria portrait one wasn't really even all that relevant, so I'm okay with the use of flashbacks, but Y&R maybe needs to pick and choose them a little better. Victoria says, I don't mean to be a complainer, but I really don't like flashbacks from the day before. These yesterday flashbacks aren't like the old days when they were only a quick remembrance. Soon Y&R will be having flashbacks in the same episode. Ugh. yeah, that's the thing. It was longer. Like, the old flashbacks weren't lengthy. You'd get a flashback, but I don't think it was as long as these ones that we're seeing. It was more of a quick flash. Maybe a couple of key things you needed to know in case you didn't watch it, in case you missed an episode. I think that was more so the purpose of it back then. Because if you missed an episode in the 80s and 90s, you didn't get to see that episode again, and you might fall off of the plot, or it might be, nice to be able to re-see it. But now I think because everybody uses their DVR, I think probably very few people watch the show live. Most people record it. You have the ability to back up and go forward. I think the flashbacks in general, flashbacks were not as relevant. But if they are going to continue to do it, I don't mind it. I just want it to be, I want brevity. Please, brevity. Well, let's switch topic. Oh, this is great. Sue W mentions Imani's return, all fresh with glossy hair, minimal makeup, and fun denim. Oh, I'm so glad somebody mentioned Imani's wardrobe, because there had been so much talk about Imani's over-the-top wardrobe. She looked like she walked straight out of Dynasty. And so in response to that, Imani walks back onto our screens with this fantastic dressed down denim look. Oh yes, she looked great in jeans. Great in jeans. I loved that. It's so rare that we see characters dressed very casually or in jeans at all. So that was very striking and very cool. I like jeans. If I leave the house, it's jeans. It is some form of denim on the bottom. If I leave the house, that is. Oh, Victoria says, yippee, we are getting a new law firm in Genoa City. Bring on the drama. Now we will get to see Amanda and Imani go up against Michael, Christine, and Brittany. I wish John Silva would make an appearance in Genoa City. He has quite a presence. Oh, John Silva. Good old John Silva. I used to think he was so square and unappealing when I was much younger, but when we were into the classic episodes and I saw him on screen, and now I'm closer to the age that he was on when he was on screen, I'm like, he was actually a really good looking guy. I was very into John Silva upon a rewatch. But oh yeah, I totally agree with you. It will be good to have Imani and Amanda, representing that profession. And Ellen says some courtroom drama would be so great. We need actual lawyers, doctors, detectives, etc. who actually go to work. We usually just see them at Crimson Lights, Society, or the Grand Phoenix. That's so true. Yeah, I really like that point. I guess you're right. We don't really see anyone performing any kind of actual profession. We pretty much just see them on break. It is pretty much a permanent break for these people, though. And Ellen made a really good point that I didn't want to forget to pull in here. This was from last Sunday. We did a lot of talking last week about Abby and her role in what has gone down with Mariah. And there was a lot of blame being tossed at Abby for what has happened. And I really like this comment from Ellen, who says, Abby really can't win. Which is it? Are we mad at her for being too involved, overbearing, and intrusive with Mariah during the pregnancy? Or are we mad at her for not meeting all of Mariah's needs now that the baby is born and she's having a difficult postpartum adjustment? Huh? Abby is the mother of a newborn, not Mariah's mother. Abby's husband is unreachable, and he doesn't even know the baby has been born. Stitch kidnapped Mariah and laid a twisted guilt love story on Abby. Abby's family has been totally absent through it all. No Ashley, no Jack, no Tracy, no Nick, no Victor, no Victoria by her side, in any significant way. And Abby has no friends except Devon, apparently. I'm fine with Abby putting Dominic and her new role as mother first right now. She has to do that. I adore Mariah and fully empathize with the pain and loss she is experiencing. However, it's not fair to lay Mariah's pain at Abby's feet. Abby can only offer a place for Mariah in Dominic's life, and Mariah will have to do the rest of the emotional work herself in order to move on. Yes, that's so rational and so reasonable, and I do agree with you, Ellen, yes. I mean, I think maybe there could have been some spots where, I don't know, maybe, you'd like to put yourself in someone's shoes and say, maybe I would have done that a little bit differently, but you never know until you're there, and that's what makes this, the result of this story actually very good, because everybody thought they knew what they were supposed to do. Everybody thought they knew what was going to happen, and until you walk in the aftermath with those shoes, you just don't know. I don't ultimately think anybody did anything wrong. I mean, you can argue 6 ways from Sunday if someone could have done something better, but nobody here did anything wrong. And I've actually been enjoying the fallout of it all quite a bit. I did not enjoy the kidnapping, so I'm very glad that we got somewhere that I could enjoy. Oh, Victoria says, I'm loving the concern and caring between Tessa and Mariah. Cameron Grimes has been so amazing, even when the material she's given isn't so amazing. I also liked their Renaissance vibe in clothing, Mariah's chain belt fastened low, and Tessa's puffed sleeve in that incredible black dress. Victoria, I know, we got a second look at that black dress Tessa was wearing this week, and it was so cute. And of course, I mean, Mariah was so notable in that low belted dress. Yes, both looked amazing. And we finally got the intimacy there between those two, right? We didn't see any of it at the Chancellor Mansion. So bringing them back to the Grand Phoenix, they actually did have some time together to bond and to show the viewers what the chemistry is about, what you should be rooting for. But Sherrod says Mariah is mourning the loss of a child, even though it is very much alive. And as much as I love Tessa, she's handling Mariah with kid gloves. She fails to be totally honest with her that she's not ready to have a baby. Therefore, Mariah believing that Tessa is willing to have a baby for her, this will not end well. Yeah, you think Tessa should be more direct with Mariah. I think you're right that Tessa's definitely on eggshells. She doesn't want to hurt Mariah. Mariah's had enough hurt to go around. Tessa also doesn't want to destroy the relationship by doing or saying the wrong thing, but I think you're right. She probably does need to be more assertive in the relationship. I thought that the way Tessa, to me, it was obvious that Tessa was not exactly picking up what Mariah was offering, and yet I don't think Mariah was being particularly sensitive to what Tessa was thinking or feeling, because even though to me it seemed obvious that Tessa was like, maybe, I'll think about it, and then Mariah came back and she was like, great, so glad you're on board. I definitely had a moment of, wait a minute, were you listening to anything that Tessa said? I think Mariah was definitely hearing what she wanted to hear, but maybe now Mariah needs to hear Tessa being real clear with her about it all. Oh, Sherrod also brings us a little update on Lola. For any chatters hoping to see Lola return, the show would have to do a recast. It seems Sasha Calle has been offered her own series on HBO Max as Supergirl. Oh, with Michael Keaton set to play Bruce Wayne / Batman. Kudos for Sasha if the rumors are true. Oh, so she got the Supergirl role in the movie, and now they're doing a spin-off series for HBO where it's Supergirl's the main character. Yay! That is so wonderful for her. I'm very happy about that. And oh Lord, oh my goodness, Michael Keaton. Oh, you guys have got to know I have a huge Michael Keaton crush. Oh, I love Michael Keaton, and to me he is Batman. There is no one. I know, it just depends on what your generation is. But my Batman is Michael Keaton. And to tie this back into Y&R, I think I've said this before, Jason Thompson gives me Michael Keaton vibes. There's just that sort of slick sort of smug funniness about them. It's confidence. It's a dark, slow move. And yeah. So next time you see Michael Keaton, think about Jason Thompson. And next time you see Jason Thompson as Billy, think about Michael Keaton. I think it's a pretty good comparison there. And I think that's high praise because they're both very good. I really like them both. Oh, and speaking of Billy, so last week I asked you guys, what are you thinking about Billy's behavior in this whole situation with Ashland? Are you wanting Billy to back off and stop? Or are you rooting for him to go and get Ashland and get us the truth? 44%, I already mentioned, said, go get Ashland. But the majority of viewers, 56%, voted that you want Billy to back off. I think that's so interesting. And I think it really speaks to the intrigue of the Ashland character that the majority of Y&R chatters are kind of picking Ashland's side in a way, maybe, if that's how I'm to interpret it. That maybe you think that Billy's being too aggressive. And so you're just like, let this play out in a different way. I think maybe the majority of Y&R chatters are kind of wanting Ashland to get through whatever it is he needs to get through. I feel like we're through the tunnel of thinking that he's faking his illness, right? I mean, we're not continuing to see signs of that. We're not seeing him plot or do anything nefarious against Victoria's back. I kind of think it's obvious, that Ashland loves Victoria and he wants to marry her. So whatever it is that's going to come out about him, it is something from the past. The question is, what is it and how is it? Is it going to be bad enough to make Victoria not be able to continue with him? It's not going to make her stop loving him, but whatever it is, it has to be bad enough that she is going to feel like she can't move forward with him. The only thing I could think of would be like murder. He would have had to have killed somebody to take their identity. That's the only thing I could think of that would make Victoria think twice at this point. But Astra says, I voted that Billy needs to back off. Clearly, Ashland is hiding something, and it's going to get exposed eventually, but I don't necessarily think it has to be Billy to uncover it. I don't think Billy still wants to be with Victoria. There's no indication of that, at least to me. I can see the argument about his kids being involved, but I think they may be a convenient excuse for him. I think Billy has an unhealthy way of getting too obsessive about stuff. It was his hatred for Adam for years. Now Ashland's past is the new obsession, and Billy needs to work out his own issues. Oh, that's a good explanation of the vote, that maybe you want the truth to be uncovered, but you don't think Billy should be the one to do it. Y&R viewer 123 says, Billy prying into Victoria and Ashland's life is not enjoyable anymore. At first, I was quite excited about the story, but then he has become an annoying tick that sticks to Victoria's life and gets under her nerves. He has no other role in Victoria's life other than being the parent of their children, but if he wants something more than that, he can't have it. Hashtag back off Billy. Oh, I just had to back up again too, because I'm thinking about Astra's point too, that it's maybe more of a signal or a symptom of Billy's obsessive tendencies, that he really was very obsessed about Adam for years, and now he's very obsessed about Ashland. That's a really good point. I think that the kids argument, him worrying about his, protecting his kids, yeah, it's a plot device. I mean, we know that we're watching a show, but if it were reality, I totally get why he would be pursuing it. I would be pursuing it if I had any whiff of something bad going down with this guy in the house where my kids will be. I would be pursuing it too. So it's like in a real type way, I totally get why Billy's pursuing it, but I think maybe in terms of the show, it is coming off as a little bit much. But again, Leslie reminds us that it would be irresponsible for Billy not to. And Victoria accepting Ashland's no-name reveal is also ridiculous. Yeah, why doesn't Victoria ask Ashland those questions? That's a good question. Why, if Victoria is continuing to have doubts, which she's had conversations with both Nick and Nikki that lead us to believe that she is feeling a little uncertain about her choice to marry a man with these secrets, why doesn't Victoria just ask him his name? It's like she's afraid to approach him. It's almost like she's afraid to push him in the same way that Tessa's afraid to push Mariah. She doesn't want to lose what she has. She doesn't want to upset Ashland. Obviously, there was an abuse there that was affected him very deeply. She doesn't want to do anything to trigger, any kind of negative reaction in Ashland. But yeah, I mean, I guess she just took his word for it. If he's not going to tell anybody his real name, he's not going to tell me. But I would be like, what? So I'm marrying a man whose real name I don't really even know? I don't know. Victoria is not involved enough in this. If she's going to turn the blind eye about it, I can still see Billy's point, but if she's gonna turn the blind eye about it, then I don't know, maybe it should be left alone. Victoria should be the one investigating this. Victoria should be the one asking questions. Victoria should be the one concerned about the kids. She would have a right to want to know the birth name of the man she's taking. If she's taking a fake identity, I mean, I'm sure she's not going to take his name, but she would be appending it, presumably. Like, wouldn't she have a right to want to know that? Don't you have a right to want to know the person who you're going to be spending the rest of your life with, even if it is only 3 months? Kamna says, does anyone else feel like the Newmans are unfair to Billy? They all refer to him as if he's the only man who's ever hurt Victoria. Well, what about JT? Twice. And the guy who a few years ago had the boat and turned out to be a creep. Yeah, Travis. Kamina says, I really hope that Victor and Billy are secretly working behind the scenes. And as for the Newman women, Nikki, Abby, and Victoria, while they criticize Billy for being a smooth talker, they're the idiots who can't see past Ashland's smooth charm. Go, Billy. Yeah, Victoria's other exes are no longer around, so Billy is the convenient target for the Newmans. I think Billy enjoys being the gnat or the tick. He enjoys being just buzzing around the Newman family's head, asking questions and saying things. It's like he almost seems to pride himself on being as annoying as possible to Victor, and I do kind of like that about him. Superplex says, why are we inclined to root for Phyllis and Nick and react with utter disdain when it concerns Billy's quest to unmask Ashland's identity? Well, that's a good question. Why are we rooting for Nick to uncover the truth, but not Billy? Honestly, I'm rooting for anyone to tell me anything about this investigation and Ashland Locke's history. Like, it's been weeks of suspicion, and Nick jetting off to New Jersey is just another delay technique so that Y&R can buy another week of stretching this story out. I don't really care who uncovers the information at this point. I'm just ready to hear it. It's been, I'm losing the plot. I'm losing interest in the plot when it's just everyone standing around spinning theories. Nobody's gotten anywhere. I mean, these investigators have been supposedly working on this for 3 or 4 weeks now, and I just feel strung along on it. Kind of like I felt with the Stitch kidnapping. It's just taking too darn long. I mean, if they were going to cast suspicion onto Ashland, I wish they would have maybe just started it now, and then just boom, give it to us 2 weeks later, whatever the reveal would have been. But all of the build up to it is not building up in a good way for me. It's just, if I would have had maybe only 2 weeks to wonder and theorize, I think I would have enjoyed whatever the reveal is going to be even more. But I don't know. We're not there yet. Could be anything. Ellen says, Nick is Victoria's brother, not her overlord. He shouldn't be doing any of this behind her back. It's condescending and disrespectful, but this show thinks women need men to rescue them. Yeah, Ellen, that kind of goes back to my point that why isn't Victoria the one asking these questions? Why is it Nick? And we had that moment on Friday where Phyllis is asking Nick, are you sure you really want to go through with this? This is going to cause problems with your mother, your father, and your sister. And then sure enough, Victoria is blazing into the Grand Phoenix on the previews for next week just because Nick took the private jet to New Jersey. Yeah, I don't know. I can see everybody wanting answers, but how are you supposed to care about getting the answers when even Victoria doesn't care about getting the answers? Superplex thinks the answer is that Nick Ashland is your uncle. You think that Nick's gonna go all the way to New Jersey only to find out that Ashland is his uncle. Ooh, so that would make would have to make Ashland Victor's brother. Sue W says, yeah, Southside Granny mentioned that as well, but there's no way the show is touching that unless Victor and Ashland are stepbrothers. Yeah, pausing, because that would mean if Victor and and Ashland were brothers, that means Victoria would be marrying her uncle. There's, no way that the show is going to do that. But stepbrothers, I guess, is a possibility. Sue W goes on to say, even if that's the case, so what? I'm starting to think that after the climatic reveal of whatever's going on, whether the wedding takes place or not, Ashland is gonna up and die. Story over. Yes, Sue W. I agree. I think that is absolutely the truth. And that's the reason why we're not building Ashland up as the villain. All we're seeing him do is try to cover up some old stuff. I don't dislike Ashland. I think looking at the poll results, I don't think the majority of viewers dislike Ashland. I think we're supposed to like him because it's going to hurt when he drops dead. Oh, Sherrod theorizes, could it be that Ashland Locke is not revealing his true name because he is really Dina's long-lost son that supposedly died, named Eric Vanderway, and hence Theo's father? Or is he John Abbott's son? Just a thought, wanted to put that out into the universe. Oh, if he was Eric Vanderway, that would blow my mind. If Y&R was creative as you are to make Ashland Eric Vanderway, that would blow me back. That's why I know that's not what their plan is. It's too good. All the good theories are just nope. If you see her theory that's so good it blows you back, just know it's not true. But if it was, that'd be so good. Ooh, that would bring maybe Theo back onto the show. Or maybe that, he could be John Abbott's son, so that would make him a brother of Jack. I mean, that wouldn't cause any problems, right? I mean, I feel like this, whatever Ashland's secret that he's covering up, it's got to be something so big and so bad, and it better be. For as much as time and effort and energy is putting into this investigation, it better bear some fruit. It better be big, and it better be bad. Jamie says, at this point, Victoria is kidding herself, and only herself. I am actually sad for her on this one. Seems like she's digging in her heels and standing by her sleaze bag in spite of her family, friends, and Billy Boy to try to save face. She is a bright, successful, savvy woman who proves only to be unfathomably reckless and foolish when it comes to romantic partners, and her deep-rooted jealousy of Victor, Adam, and their bond. Literally, no matter what went down between them, Victor and Adam always managed to heal and grow closer. If only she could finally get it. Well, she doesn't need to be just like a man for Victor to love and respect her. She doesn't need to bend herself into an unrecognizable cyborg version of Daddy. She has completely lost touch with her true self. I don't even think she knows who the real Victoria is anymore, and hasn't for decades. With Billy Miller's Billy, her authentic self started to shine through. But then Delia's death shattered her whole world. Oh my gosh, Jamie, that's like the greatest comment. There's so much in there about Victoria. You are so right. And it almost seemed like the show brought on Ashland as a way to soften Victoria up and show us that she could love and be loved. Because you're right. It's like, it's not uncommon for someone to be really good in certain areas of their life and then just be bad in other areas. She's a great business person. She's obviously sophisticated and savvy and has achieved so much in her life, but then she's just bad at relationships, and that's not entirely uncommon. But it seemed like the show was bringing on Ashland as an answer to all of that, and instead it worked in the opposite. Ashland is making Victoria look foolish, and it's kind of working toward what I would have thought that their agenda was for Victoria. But it goes back to Ellen's point. Why does she need to be rescued? If all of this was going to go down, they could have let Victoria be the one to figure it out. Why does it have to be someone else to figure it out? I don't know. It's the equivalent of like, okay, everybody is worried about Mariah for, what was it, 3 weeks? According to Abby, Mariah was kidnapped for what, 3 weeks? According to Abby, and everybody was worried, the whole family, and then when it comes time to do the rescuing, it's Victor and Devon and Ray who are pushing forward the action, not Tessa, who was sitting there worried sick, not Abby, who was sitting there worried sick all the time. It was Victor and Ray and Devon pushing all that action forward. Why can't Victoria save herself? It's a good question. Oh, and speaking of Abby, Superplex says, to Abby has the same approach to motherhood as a 5-year-old girl has to her plastic doll. Everything is sunshine and rainbows. I thought Abby, she looked like a happy mom in that scene, giving Victoria her blessing with Ashland, but I think you're right that all of us just kind of can't take our eyes off of the doll. But yeah, I don't think that motherhood is all sunshine and rainbows, but I like this comment also because my daughter's going to be turning 5 in December, and she's never been into dolls at all. And then on the week that we're all watching Abby with the doll, my daughter suddenly got interested in her baby doll, and it's just funny to think what your opinion of how childcare is when you're a baby or a soap viewer or whatever versus what the reality is. It's not sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. Oh, well, let's move to a different topic. T. Nicole says, what happened to Sally wanting to design Victoria's wedding dress? Yeah, I mean, I know it's a small thing, but I was really hoping to see the wedding dress. Maybe we still will. Speaking of dresses, Gary says, certainly the chatters love it, but I just got a head-to-toe shot of Phyllis in her green dress, and my ignorant opinion is that this is the most foolish dress I have ever seen. Definitely a Fenmore's original. Phyllis looked like a pea pod for Halloween with all of the contraptions, pleatings, cutouts, or whatever from top to bottom. Taste is dead in Genoa City. The men dress better because they have fewer options to make such mistakes. No, I completely agree with you, Gary. The dress was awful. I didn't even know what to make with it. I mean, Phyllis's wardrobe choice was a little bit baffling. I think she might need to try something a little bit more simple because that dress was a work of art, and I don't know how she was moving in it. A lot of Phyllis's dresses and workwear, a lot of Phyllis's work attire is so impractical. She definitely looks like she's fresh off the runway. You can maybe wiggle down the runway in it, but it's not functional. Phyllis is definitely choosing form over function in her wardrobe. The color was really pretty, though. Oh, Superplex must have agreed with my impression about Phyllis's love confession to Jack, saying, that was not fair to Jack, Phyllis. You must decide, Nick or Jack. Otherwise, you're just playing games. Yes, that's how I feel too. I'm glad somebody else said something similar, because it isn't fair. I thought it wasn't fair to Jack for her to say that to him, I love you, and I didn't think it was fair for Jack to say what he said to Nick. Well, a lot of people liked the Jack Dream episode and found it very moving. Daisy says Jack's hallucinating again. He's been dealing with what looks like the same issues for a long time. Oh, I gotta pause there, because isn't that the truth? That's maybe the other thing that didn't quite sit very well with me about the whole episode. It just feels like we've been here for a long time. Jack's been dealing with this issue for a long time. I didn't need a special episode to tell me everything I got from the special episode. I already knew it all. But Daisy also says, I'm hoping this is not leading to him and Phyllis again. I'd like to see this new old revelation leading him to Leslie Brooks. I hope she is not just playing piano at the wedding. I hope the wedding will be the beginning of Jack and Leslie's relationship. But Leslie may not be returning to become Jack's love interest. He may ask her about Peggy and seek her out to see if there's still chemistry. Maybe Leslie is returning to see her son, Ashland. She heard that he was ill and wants to be there by his side, even in the shadows. He's hiding, he's lying, and she knows the truth, but loves her son too much to reveal it all. He must do that by himself. Ooh, that's pretty good. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if they actually folded Leslie into the story? I heard it's going to be a couple of episodes, so I don't think it's necessarily going to be a long-term story, but they could work her in a way that moves some action forward or pushes Jack into a different direction. But either way, boy, I would love to see Jack actually move in a romantic direction instead of talking about it for years at this point. Y&R Viewer 123 asks, did Marla Adams come back to record those voiceovers, or were they from old scenes? Well, I don't have any confirmation of this, but I really think it was Marla Adams. I don't, and a fresh recording. I don't think that it was anything from old scenes, because it was too specific of content. I really get the impression that it was new content. If I'm wrong, though, please let me know. It's entirely possible that I'm wrong, but in my mind, that was new, fresh. They had to give us some extra flashbacks this week just so that they could make room in the budget for paying Marla Adams for her voice work, and that's fine with me. Diana says, I got teary-eyed at the very end of the episode when Jack heard Dina tell him not to worry because he will find love. It was so sweet, and I think it was endearing because even though Jack is an older man, it comforts him to hear his mother telling him the words he needed to hear. It reminds me of my dad saying nice things to me. The love of a parent is so special, and I wonder if we'll ever have John Abbott talking to Jack ever again. It's been a very long time. Yes, that is true. I mean, again, I think all of the sentiment of that episode was wonderful. And I think it's funny because I want to say in the scene where Jack was at the Chancellor Mansion talking to Tracy and Abby, someone mentioned, like, your parents' love. That's the first love you ever know. And in Jack's case, his mom definitely loved him, but she also did abandon him. So it makes sense why Jack is so perplexed by love and has trouble figuring it out. And it also makes sense as to why he really still yearns for that love from his mother. But yeah, I think it was appropriate to fold that in there. And I again, there were parts of it that were just absolutely lovely. I agree with you. But Sue W says, okay, well, I'm willing to suspend reality. I mean, it's a soap, right? But the conversation between Nick and Jack regarding Jack's feelings for Phyllis, come on. That never, ever would have happened between two guys. I'm buying everyone's feelings and convos, but for that convo should have been part of Jack's dream. Gosh, I usually hate dream sequences, but I really did enjoy Jack's, and I'm starting to feel Jack and Phyllis more and more. that would have been it. They needed to make that conversation part of Jack's dream and Jack coming to terms with what he needed to do or did. It was just totally inappropriate for him to dump that on Nick, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You'll have to let me know if that's an out of left field perspective on it. But yeah, he spent the whole episode saying he didn't want to come in between Phyllis and Nick, and then he turned around and kind of betrayed Phyllis a little bit by going to Nick directly, something that she had kept a secret from Nick. I don't know, that just bugged me. I thought that was the wrong move. And maybe what it is symbolizing is the fact that Jack and Phyllis will be getting back together soon. I mean, we're seeing Nick and Phyllis drifting further and further apart. Nick knows it. I mean, he's trying to reassure Phyllis, telling Phyllis that, what Jack said doesn't affect us. That's what Phyllis is saying too. Everybody's saying the right things. But I can also see that Nick is hesitating. Nick is struggling for another way to bond with Phyllis. That's what the football was all about. He's trying to find something that they can do together to solidify their bond, to reassure himself that they're meant to be together. And if that was a test, Phyllis failed. And if the viewers were to see that as a test, then maybe Phyllis and Nick fail. And maybe Jack and Phyllis are actually on a path back together. Victoria says, after watching the Dreaming Jack episode, I think Jack should take a page from Nick's playbook and accept Sally just as she is, which she seems to really care about him and enjoys their time together. I don't see Y&R pairing him with Gloria, which I think would bring out her best qualities and downplay her insecurities. But Y&R's taken forever to give Jack a love interest. Choose someone now and let the viewers see Jack at his best. Yes, Victoria. Choose someone now. I mean, again, we've been through this for years at this point. Choose someone now. And why not Sally? Why forgive Phyllis for stepping out on your marriage and getting pregnant and then not forgive Sally for whatever it was Sally did? I forget because it's been a couple weeks. And we like her now. Oh, well. Oh, how about this? Gary says, who believes that the real true love of Jack Abbott's life is Kane's mother, Jeannie Francis? Didn't they once date out of her spooky house? Yes, I think they did, Gary. And now, okay, see, I know this is blasphemy. Once again, please don't kill me, you guys, but I did not love Jeannie Francis on Y&R. I didn't know her from General Hospital. I mean, I know the iconic stuff. I understand who she was. I understand the importance of her role on General Hospital, but I did not love her on Y&R. I don't know what it was about her, but I just didn't love it, and I also did not love that spooky house. It was like Halloween all year round with that house. I like Halloween, I like fall, but I need it to be in its appropriate seasonal place. And speaking of fall, Diana says, happy fall, Allie and Chatters. I know you have mentioned fall is a nice season in the Midwest where you live. It is a pretty season, and I look forward to Y&R giving us some nice fall sets, both indoors and out. Maybe some new fall cocktails at Society, too. Oh, yes, I know. I see, Y&R didn't do anything for summer. It feels like it was never summer on Y&R. I hope they take the opportunity to give us fall on Y&R now that it is officially fall. And that brings us to the real question of the week. It's not about whether or not Victoria and Ashland will say I do if they will ever make it to the aisle. No. The real question on the table this week is, will there be a Genoa City Fall Festival? Are we going to get to see the characters go to the Fall Festival? Is Y&R going to spring for the Fall Festival? And being from the Midwest myself, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Genoa City. I would also like to know, when will it be time for me to break out my flannel shirts? I gotta represent the Midwest with my flannel shirts. That's how you know. That's how you know. Oh, well. I think that brings me to the end of another Y&R chat. I think it was a pretty good one, pretty fun one. I hope you think so too. You should go to yrchat.com to leave your comments. Let me know what you're thinking about the show. Vote in the poll, do the quotes, see all the other goodies there. Oh, and one more thing. I was browsing through the comments this week and I realized I think I forgot a couple of important birthdays there. I think we had Gary and Sandra's birthday this past month. And I always tell myself, I have got to start a Y&R chat birthday club so that I can know when the people's birthdays are and then say happy birthday to you. And it was a real easy little thing I was able to pop up on the website this week. It's a secret spot on the website though. You're not going to find it. You're only even going to know if it exists if you're listening to this. So if you're listening to this, I would just love to know your birthday so that I can say happy birthday to you, and maybe I can do little shout outs here or at the end of Y&R chat, or maybe if I'm clever I could work in a birthday wish for you during Y&R chat. So here's where you can go if you want to tell me your birthday and let me wish you happy birthday. Don't be weird about it. I'm not asking your age. I just want to know the month and the day, and when the day comes around I can say happy birthday to my friends. So yrchat.com/birthdays with an S on the end. yrchat.com/birthdays. And that will give me a little email, and that'll tell me, oh, Gary's birthday is September 10th. And then I will know, and I know that's not it. I know I'm wrong on that. But then I'll know, I'll put it in my calendar. And then maybe I could even do a little calendar that could show the website where people's birthdays are. But I can put it in my calendar and make sure that I say happy birthday to you guys, because I've been thinking that for years at this point, that I wanted to do a birthday club. I also really want to do some Christmas card clubs and stuff too, but things get away from me. But birthdays are easy, so I hope you tell me what your birthday is. Don't go to the website looking like you're going to find it for a link. yrchat.com/birthdays. That's it. I hope I get some. I'd like to say some happy birthday wishes. And I would like to say, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful next week. I will be back next Sunday to chat about what is up with Ashland Block. I will be back next Sunday to chat about how we don't know what Ashland Block is up to. We don't know anything about his real name. And then maybe like 3 weeks from now, I'll come back and we'll talk about what the reveal about Ashland Luck was. And everything else too. But until then, I really love you guys. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.